Hey everybody, we're going to do something a little bit different today. Instead of doing a recipe, I'm going to do a book review, and that book is Franklin Steak by Aaron Franklin. Now, some of you probably saw a previous video where I talked about a Meat Smoking Manifesto, and that book has absolutely changed the way that I smoke meat. And if you like what you see with this book, the link is going to be down in the description below, so that way you can pick it up if you'd like to. And let's get into the book and start reviewing it. So one of the first things you notice when you open up this book is they have a flow chart right on the inside cover. What it allows you to do is you pick the steak that you're cooking, as well as whether you're doing it inside or outside, and he'll show you the exact best way to be able to make a steak. And if you've ever wondered what the different breeds of cows are and some of the differences, as well as their heritage, he talks about that in the book as well, and includes the part where humans domesticated cows from the wild ones and started to raise them to what we know of today. One of the most important parts in this book is how to buy a steak. Now, I don't know about you, but often people will go and pick the exact same steaks. I really like ribeye, I really like New York strip, and they stick to that every single time. And there's a huge variety of steaks out there. Some of them are more tender, some of them are more flavorful, and depending on how you want to cook it or what you're in the mood for, you might want to try a different one, and this goes through the pros and cons of the different cuts. One of my favorite parts of this book is where he goes over some of the questions you might want to ask your butcher. The first one is, where did this meat come from? There's a good chance if they can't answer that, then they're probably not giving you high quality meat, or at least not something that's local. And the second question, this one's mine, the one I like to ask is, can I get a hanger steak? If they say no, there's a really good chance that they're not dealing with whole animal or part animal processing. They're dealing with stuff that comes out of a cryovac from some of the manufacturing plants. And so ask for a hanger steak, which is fantastic by the way, and see if they can fill your order. So I followed that advice and I talked to my butcher. He guided me over to their display case where they had some grass-fed beef, which was grown just a couple hours from my house and processed right there in that facility, which gave me the good things that I could go and support a local farmer and a local butcher and enjoy some of the local flavors of Utah. I'm going to make that steak up here in just a little bit. I'm going to show you how I did it.
I filled the chimney with charcoal and some mesquite wood and set up the grill for 2-zone cooking. And while the steak looked amazing, it looked even better sitting on the grill.
After you have your meat picked out, he shows you the differences between using charcoal and wood and some of the nuances in the different flavors from the different kinds of wood you might use, which was pretty neat, so that way you could pick and choose depending on what you like best. Now, it shouldn't be too big of a surprise, but Aaron Franklin is a huge fan of wood fires. He's made a bunch of money in his restaurant by making barbecue. It's world famous at this point. And he does the same thing as with the steaks. So here's a quote that he had about gas grills. He called them the Prius of grills. He said they're really good and efficient at their jobs, but there's something soulless and clinical about them. And I enjoyed the convenience of a gas grill time and time again, but sometimes it is nice to put it over a wood fire, take the time and do it right and get the extra flavor that comes from smoke.
With a kiss of smoke, I waited until they had the perfect crust, and then I took them off and set them on the indirect side until they reached 120 degrees internal. After that, it just needed a little bit of rest before we dig into them.
And of course, it wouldn't be a book by Aaron Franklin if he didn't pull out his welder. He makes a custom hibachi grill and shows you how you could make one at home. And after reading his last book, I almost went out and took a welding class, and it's still on my list of things to do. So one of the best features of this book is how he talks about the different cuts and how you might want to cook them. We're going beyond just the flowchart at the beginning of the book, but he goes in deep to each cut and how it's best cooked, because some are better cooked medium rare, some can go a little bit farther to medium or medium well, depending on the preferences of the people that you're around. What I really appreciate about this section is instead of just telling you what to do, he takes the time to explain why you should do it. So it seems like there's a lot of people out there that want to explain to us what we should do, but don't take the time to explain why. But if we can understand the why, we truly learn, and that'll help us to adapt and do things differently in our own circumstances, and to do it the way that works best for us as well. In the last section of the book, he gives you some recipes for some good sides that go well with steak, and I made one of those today. It's Salsa Verde. It's parsley based, and I'm going to show you exactly how I made it, minus a couple of the secret ingredients, because of course if you want those, you're going to have to look in the book.
The recipe starts off with a whole bunch of parsley. Then you add some smashed garlic and salt, followed by olive oil, a few other secret ingredients, and lemon zest. Mix it all together and then use it with a steak, and this is how it turned out.
So now it's come off the grill, it's time for a taste test. It really is incredible. I have never had grass-fed beef before, But this has so much more flavor than anything that I've had that I bought at the store, and it was well worth double the price. Sometimes it's better to go with quality than with quantity.